GM. GM. Today is Saturday, 8th of June. And let's do daily levels. So, I think a local top is probably in. And for that, I just want to zoom out in a few of these charts and look at them without any any indicators or anything like that. Total market cap, has moved up into the previous resistance and rejected off it, much like Bitcoin did. Total 2 is weaker, so this is the one including Ethereum, had a deeper wick and a weaker sell-off, even with Ethereum's ETF supposedly being a bullish catalyst, which of course it should be. Total 3, that's a distribution structure, right? Total 3 is probably the biggest tell for me on this, where you're seeing basically a sideways bearish structure. That is after the big sell-off from middle of April. It has basically completed a 2-month redistribution, which is just not bullish, full stop. And I think that the market itself is tired to be the word. Bitcoin dominance, let's take a look at that. Today I just want to zoom out and look at a bunch of higher time frame charts. Bitcoin dominance keeps rising, which is a good sign for BTC, but of course mid markets, like in the middle of a bull market or in a late stage bull market, you're going to see Bitcoin dominance rising after the top is in, right? So here we had Bitcoin dominance last push down in November of 2021, and then Bitcoin dominance rallied all the way after the top until the first half of the year was done. So looking at Bitcoin dominance rising is fine whenever Bitcoin's price is going up, but don't forget that generally that can happen in a reverse way as well. Stock market is at all-time highs, but not producing much follow through yet, and I think something like that could be in order. Same as the Nasdaq. A couple of potential reversal candles at the all-time highs. On a weekly perspective, they both look fine. Nice weekly closes. However, price clusters around like that here, and even over here as well, where you push into the highs, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a decline. It doesn't have to be a major top, but probably some kind of sell-off pre-election is coming. As I've covered this before, but in every election year, right? 2020, here was August, big pullback. September, October, into November, into the election. The election's always November, guys, right? And then away we go. So we'd rallied up March, April, May, June, July, green. August, September, October, choppy, sideways. 2016, same thing. It literally happens every single election year. This was June 2016, dips down in June, rallies up again into August, dips again into November, and then away we go. So the period around the actual election is not, I've already marked these out as you can see, it's not trending price action, 2012, not trending price action around the election. 2008, it was obviously terrible. 2004, not trending price action, and so on. So to see some kind of chop would not surprise me, some kind of consolidative price action. If you look at 2020, we dipped down in August, rallied up again, dipped back, right? And so we've dipped down in April this time, rallied up again. I just wouldn't be surprised if we came back. Just a simple sell-off back to 5,000. And with the way crypto is, I think even a move like that would be enough to send crypto significantly lower. Having watched the past few weeks, I'm pretty convinced that crypto is very much overbought. as I was looking up the German apple dessert. This is from the stream yesterday. I think it's Apfelkuchen, which Klimmen was telling me. I had this delicious German dessert when I was in, where the fuck was I? Whatever you call the place where the Disney castle is. You Germans will know. We were there. Some fucking part of Germany. Not far from Munich. Alright. That's definitely distracted me. I'm looking at the delicious cake. ETF flows. That's what we're going to look at. 131 million. Some grayscale outflows. Some BlackRock inflows. Solid, but unspectacular. And I think the main thing is what we've been doing in the past few weeks, especially since the lows. There's been a build-up, but certainly since the 20th of May. And I just think that the market has gotten itself too long into resistance, expecting the next leg of the bull market. And the max pain, right, if you want to use that meme term, would just be a move back down. Just a move back down, just a simple move back to range low, would fucking destroy people. We are now back inside the value area of this entire structure, right? Value area is there. Volume profile from this first time we touched all-time high to the bottom. And the reasons from that there to the bottom is because this is where you saw the highest ETF flows, it's where you saw the highest funding rate, it's where you saw the real mania kick in as we hit all-time high, and then of course the bottom is when we saw the peak of the selling and depression. You can also drag one across the entire structure up here, everything from this impulse candle, because that is equal to this one, as you see here, right? These two candles are roughly equal, so you could consider all of this to be one valid trading range with volume distributed. And currently, we are also inside the value area of that one, which puts it at 71k. And so, from a volume perspective, if you reject breaking out from the upside, you go to the downside. I'm not saying this will definitely happen. I'm saying that the principle of trading with volume profile is that if the value area high rejects, this means it's still in a range where all this high volume is, and you probably drift towards the value area low. The point of control, the red line here, is what's really holding the market so far. So as long as Bitcoin holds 67 in the interim basis, it's fine, but I don't think it is fine. I think yesterday's move was a big tell, and we're probably going to go back to that low, and possibly even lower. But I think if we went to that low, the market would be sufficiently bearish. And is it going to move like I have it here? I don't know. Is it going to collapse straight down? I don't know. But I closed my swing longs yesterday. I am, until Bitcoin flips 72, I am short-term bearish. Absolutely. I think it tops in. And you have to look no further than last year to understand. We rallied up, lots of hype, wasn't able to break out, came all the way back, spent several months reaccumulating, away we go. Even in previous bull markets, you have these moves, right, where it moves up to the highs, isn't able to break out further, falls back, reaccumulates. You had, obviously, in 2021, you had the full massive crash mid-market and then a second leg rally. I don't think we'll get that this year because, we're probably not going to have something like China banning crypto. And there is a constant bid from the ETFs underlying this. And I think that will continue. BlackRock are putting in on average, I think it's 50 million a day. 170, sorry. BlackRock are putting in on average 170 million a day. And Fidelity are putting in 92 million a day. Now, Grayscale have been averaging 174 of outflows. So what matters is, if the Grayscale outflows stay lower and this trends lower, BlackRock and Fidelity should equal probably 100 million a day. Currently, it's 170 plus 90, so it's 280, right? 260, sorry. But you take off the 174 of Grayscale, and that puts you to about 90 million. And I'd say if Grayscale keeps trending lower, I think 100 million a day, on average, is what you can reasonably forecast from the ETFs to be buying. That is more than the Bitcoin halving emissions, or the Bitcoin block rewards. Every 10 minutes, there's a new Bitcoin block, and its reward is currently 450 per day, which at current prices is 30 million. So that 30 million is offset by the ETF flows. That's great, that's good. But remember, these ETF flows have all taken place within this range. We can go all the way back down. Nothing would change about it. People would lose their fucking minds, yes. But I don't know. I've been bullish this whole way since the 64k break, but I don't see it now. And I think your invalidation on being bullish is very simple. You flip 72, away we go. And I think that from a bearish perspective, I don't think people are really appreciating how deep and even how quickly this can go down. And Bitcoin's fine, by the way. You don't short Bitcoin. Again, well, I do short Bitcoin, but that's only because I have systems for Bitcoin that are set up for day trading mostly. If you're looking to short anything and you have systems for it, you want to be looking at overhyped, overinflated altcoin trash. Remember, Bitcoin has this 100 million a day of demand underlying it. Nothing else does. There's no other coin that has that. So Bitcoin will go down if I'm right, which I'm not saying I am. Bitcoin will go down because it leads the market. But alts will go down more, most likely, and they will probably get wrecked more. Now, Ethereum is holding at that pivot nicely, so this is good. This is not, big warning signals yet. That 3580 pivot's important. That value area high from this volume distribution at the lows is important. The thing for Ethereum is do not accept inside the orange zone, right? Do not accept inside the orange zone. Back in value area, 3K. If Ethereum falls back into that value area, it can go to 3,000 or 3,200, whatever. I don't think it will. It shouldn't, but there's something interesting about the ETH ETF. And the ETH ETF, I think that the reason why there hasn't been any follow through, we saw this pump up, and then we saw price go sideways with no extra push. And this is the opposite of Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin had its first move up, it was upward sloping. It was grinding. This isn't upward sloping. This is a distribution structure. Set a high, sweep the high, set a lower high, break structure, right? That daily close was the lowest daily close Ethereum has had in this entire structure. You can see it. Look at the line chart. That's not a bullish chart. Now, it might V-reverse and rally back. It might. But currently, it's not acting like an upward sloping accumulation. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I think the reason might be is because whenever people were playing the Bitcoin ETF rally, what happened? Bitcoin went from 32 to 48, then the ETF launched, then it dropped back to 37. Right? There was a big sell-off from 48 down to 37, 38k after the ETF was launched. Because, naturally, you buy the rumor, you sell the news for the trade part. I think people are looking at Ethereum thinking, well, Ethereum's ETF is going to get approved soon, and it's probably going to be the same as Bitcoin, and there's going to be an initial sell-off. So I think people are just taking profit early. If they were long Ethereum from 2K, 2,900, 3,000, they've just decided this is profit taking. So I wouldn't be surprised if ETH actually sells off before the ETF, because people expect the ETF to be initially a sell-off. And then when it actually launches and the actual flows come, that's when Ethereum starts to trend higher. It might be, and again, this is just an idea, but that would make sense to me from a perspective of what is the market not expecting? The market's expecting currently that this should be the exact same as the Bitcoin ETF, but currently it's not. The market's telling you it's not doing the same thing. So, keep that in mind. Solana, need to look at as well in a moment. ETH BTC is a pretty big tell currently, right? Again, unable to flip those bands green yet. Not really showing any strength. Not too bearish yet, but keep an eye on it. Solana, that is really not great. This does not look like it just doesn't look like a bullish setup to me. It just doesn't. It had moved up, formed a base, started to form a higher low. If Solana's able to rally back up here, come back there, that's when it looks good. That's when you start to look at this as a proper higher low. So there's a lot of work for it to do to get there. And then when I look across other parts of the market, like Pepe, it's really breaking its structure. And with Pepe, I think that this previous distribution that it was in, it has moved to the breakout level and had a false breakout. Okay, fallen back inside, retested the value area high, failed off the value area high, moved directly down to the value area low. So if Pepe is able to hold that, that's a good sign. But I think we are, and then it needs to flip the monthly open to get bullish again. But I think we are probably a week or two away from that happening. Right, we're 8th of June now. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 10 days or more until these, which are declines, can be halted. And if they don't, I think everything drifts lower. So when I talk about not being bullish, look at some other meme coins, that everyone is fucking so high on. WIF is just, again, complete distribution structure. Right? Initially, I was actually short WIF from over here because of this initial distribution structure, which was push, push, and it just ended up having one more push. That's all it was. Back down, and this is now that's just WIFs. I'd be very, very, very surprised if this doesn't go lower. And when I look across the market at a bunch of coins, Apu, another one that many of you trade, again, this is not a completed downtrend yet. This is like something that needs to probably go down a little bit more and then start to go sideways and then go up. And I think that, do you know what it is? I'm not high time frame bearish, far from it, but I do feel like we've just done the exact same thing we did last summer. If you remember, last April, May was when Pepe first launched and when Pepe first exploded. And if you go all the way back here, right? Last April, going into May, was Pepe's launch. Everyone got super hyped then, and everyone started aping shitcoins and meme coins, and there was Pepe 2, and there was Pepe fucking Doge, and there was a bunch of, derivatives and copycats, and Unibot and Rollbit, and we had this on-chain summer, and then Bitcoin rallied up in June. Here, Bitcoin rallied up in June, and it was just a complacency bounce on some of these other coins, and they kept drifting and dying and going lower. Why? Because we probably had already had the mania phase, and to me it's pretty clear we've had that now. I mean, how much more do you need to see? When you see the fucking Iggy Azalea and Floyd Mayweather coming back, and meme coin madness, and fucking Solana chain crashing because of Tate, and GameStop and Roaring Kitty, and so on and so on and so on. Like the GameStop Roaring Kitty thing's a big sign too. And all of that is fine if Bitcoin keeps going up. But currently Bitcoin has failed one, let's call it two, really. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, this one doesn't count. I'm being stupid. That is the first push. Push through all-time high. Attempts to go higher, 1 has failed. 2, 3, and now 4. So at this point, Bitcoin has attempted to break higher 4 times and failed. It might just be consolidating and waiting to break out, but also lower highs are lower highs. And it's actually making lower highs each time. Swept them here, lower high here, and lower high there, except obviously just tagging the stops. But wasn't even able to reach 72.6. Couldn't even reach that liquidity. Couldn't reach the 73. And until something changes, which I think it will, but I think the market has just simply gotten itself too long, too soon, we're probably going to be in for a few weeks of down. And if so, you can see a pretty quick unwinding of positions, which just means, think of it this way, right? Everyone is bearish here, everyone is bearish here. Some people bought here, some people started to get more bullish here, most people got bullish here, everyone got bullish here, bullish there, everyone's bullish there, holding support, building positions, building positions, building positions, right? So I would look at, if I mark these, I'm looking at this and I'm like, that's where people were last really bearish and probably building short positions. Since then, you've probably mostly seen, probably would have been a bit there too, you've probably mostly seen people building long positions. And those positions are built on the basis that Bitcoin's going to break out and I'm going to make loads and loads of money. If Bitcoin doesn't break out, one by one, which it started yesterday, one by one people are going to realize, oh, it's not breaking out yet, I should take profit if I get in here, or I should cut my losses if I get in here, or I should cut a break even if I get in here. And one by one they'll realize, and as it drifts slightly lower and lower and lower, it probably falls all the way back down to where those positions were built from. And then we decide from there. Maybe it goes lower, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. As of right now, there isn't an immediate reason to be super bearish from a price perspective, because Bitcoin is still at the 69k level, which is an important one, 2021 all-time high. But like I showed on the volume profile, plenty of reasons to suspect that it's going down. And Ethereum hasn't had the follow through you'd expect. And altcoins are weak broadly. And sentiment wise, we had all the signs of euphoria, the meme coin mania, all the hype and all that shit. For a local top, by the way, people are like, oh, but Coinbase isn't number one in the App Store. We're not saying cycle top. I'm certainly not saying cycle top. But I think there can be a bloody deep sell-off in the middle of a bull market that sets up a run in Q3 or Q4 towards the end of the year. You know, excuse me, Q3 only starts in July. July, August, September, that's Q3. Q4, which is typically the strongest, is October, November, December. And that also encapsulates the election. We're still in Q2. We're only in June. A lot can happen. It doesn't take long for a sell-off to occur. Bitcoin sold off from 48 down to 38 in a matter of 10 days, right? Bitcoin sold off from, let's call it from this level, from 58, 59 to 30 in what? That was from the 10th of May to the 19th, in 9 days. These things can unwind fast. And again, I don't know if Bitcoin even goes below 60. My expectation initially would be that it doesn't. But it can easily have a fast sell-off, reaccumulate for a while, and then rip later. Wouldn't be surprised. Where is all this invalidated? Where does it become outright bullish again? Clean break of 72 with volume for the continuation. Also, this probably sounds like a really bearish stream or really bearish video. I want to be very clear. I would not short stuff here. Not after you've just had the impulse candle, right? Go and look at impulse sell-offs and what happens. There was a relatively small impulse sell-off. Let's look at ones that break the 4-hour structure, right? There's the 4-hour bands gone red. Impulse candles here. 2 big sell-off candles. Bands go red. What happens? Bitcoin chops around, rallies up, moves up, comes back, retests, holds, and actually ends up going higher. Even if it's bearish here, impulse candles, what does it do? Chops, wicks down, wicks up, chops, big bounces, wicks, and eventually deeper sell-off. From the first sell-off, 24th of April, the second sell-off didn't come until the 30th, 6 days later. Give it a bit of time. You do have periods like this where it dips down, short correction, down again. But a lot of times, even look at this, right? We had a deep sell-off, held, went all the way up, took out this highs, and then went lower. This was bearish, but it came all the way back up. Don't be surprised if Bitcoin does the same. Do not be surprised to see something like this, which I'll need a new chart for. Right? Don't be surprised if you see something similar to that, where it chops and holds, goes up and then down. Because people are going to flip their bias in both directions, and it can very easily go grab that and still go down, or just roll straight over. So what you're waiting for is an actual confirmed break of structure where Bitcoin's momentum probably takes it below. If it goes below 67, I think it unwinds to 62 pretty quickly. 64 would really need to hold in that instance, but look, we'll see. My gut feeling and most of the data I see, which is the buildup of open interest, the sentiment, which is, Look at even something like the fear and greed. We're still in greed. Yesterday we were in extreme greed. We were in extreme greed and the market failed to go higher. That's not a good sign. And a month, 2 months, a lot can happen. If we fast forward 2 months, that's August. That still gives you the rest of August, September, October, November, and then even December. And by the way, that's 5 months. And by the way, generally, the bull market doesn't peak until 2025 if you're basing it off past 4-year cycles. So we're still relatively early on the 4-year cycle basis. So I just would urge people to remain patient. Understand what happened yesterday is it's directly opposite of what we had been seeing, okay? We saw the non-farm payroll last month, the data, pump the market. We then saw the CPI come in, pump the market. We then saw the Ethereum ETF rumor, pump the market. We then saw NFP, unemployment data, send the market lower. That's a subtle shift, but it's a shift nonetheless. So we'll see what happens. As of right now, still looks fine, holding the daily bands, blah, blah, blah. But until 72 is reclaimed, I wouldn't consider this to be a very bullish structure. And I also would not be piling into shorts here because there's a gap and Bitcoin can easily chop up and up and up, right? It can easily move up. It can easily go to 70. It can go to 70.8 or whatever. So don't just start YOLOing into shorts. However, if I had to put money on it, I would say probably more likely that we go lower in the next couple of weeks than higher. But, things can change. GM.